Hi there, it's Cheryl. We'll be doing, I think it's card 4 in my Valentine's Day cards. And we're going to do something a little different here. You'll see what it is. I'll give you a little hint. It has to do with dies and embossing with dies. So what we need is some Whisper White cardstock, and this is 4 1/4 by 11, and it's scored and folded at 5 1/2, so it's oriented that way. I have another piece here that's 3 3/4 by 4 1/8, and all these sizes will be listed down below, so don't worry about that. And then I've already pre-cut this, and this is from a piece of Melon Mambo. That's 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. And this is the die that I used. I used the large die, and I'll tell you where I got that down below also. And then I have this pretty decorative heart die that we're going to be using. We're going to actually use that, so I'm going to get that out. And from Love You Still stamp set, I'm using this sentiment right down the bottom here. That was the whole reason I got this stamp set. Not that there aren't other nice things in it, but that was the whole reason I bought that one. And then from Sure Do Love You, I don't think we're using anything out of here. I don't know how this got in my stack. Things just get places I have no idea where they came from. And then from Heartfelt Creations, Heartfelt Love Sentiments, I'm using the I Love You and Happy Valentine's Day. Both of those stamps. I'll be using my mini Misti. I'm using Sweet Sugarplum ink and Melon Mambo. I don't think Melon Mambo has left my table since I started making cards. And then I had some nice Picot edged, it's 1/4 inch, or it's 3/16, excuse me, 3/16 inch Picot edged ribbon that goes real nicely with the Melon Mambo. And some Stampin Dimensionals and my Snail adhesive. So let's get going on this card. Let's do the inside of the card first because I need to use my Misti. And since I'm using my mini Misti, I have the Tim Holtz one, but I still have my Christmas things on it. I know, I need to get with it. Oh, and now my magnet's stuck together. So let me put those magnets here, make sure that stays down real well and down the bottom. And we're going to use the sentiment, loved you yesterday, loved you still, always have, and always will. And I want that kind of towards the top because underneath I'm going to put the Happy Valentine's Day stamp. So I'm just putting it sort of where I want it. I'll pick that up with the lid here, and now I'm going to check it and make sure that it is lined up properly. Let's see, it could be adjusted just a little bit, I think. Okay, that looks good. And then with the Melon Mambo, I'm going to ink that up. And stamp it. I really like to use a stamping platform of some sort when I'm doing sentiments on the cards because it is really helpful to get things lined up properly. Now, our Happy Valentine's Day stamp is a rubber stamp, so I have to take this little mat out and put this back into place. Hold that down with the magnets. And this only comes with these two. I added a third one. Okay, so I'll put that about where I want it on my card. And then, once again, pick it up with the lid. And now I'm going to check and see if it's lined up properly. And somehow I managed to do that. No adjustments needed. How odd is that? I'm inking that also with the Melon Mambo. And 1, 2, 3. And there's my Happy Valentine's Day all lined up so nicely. So let me just make sure I don't have ink on my fingers before I touch this card. And we'll get that out of there. And now we've got our inside done. I'll clean these stamps properly later. Okay, so that's done. Yeah, I'm going to close up my Melon Mambo for the moment. And I'm going to get out my sweet sugar plum. And this is the fun part of this card. What we're going to do, we're going to take this die. I'm going to use the back of the die, not the cutting part, but the back side of it. I'm going to ink that up with my ink. I'm going to place it on my cardstock and I'm going to emboss it. So for your big shot, you do need to have your embossing plate and an embossing mat, and they are sold separately. I don't know why, because you do need both of those. You're going to open your base platform all the way. So tabs 1 and 2 are flipped out. We're going to put that down first. You know what, let me bring this in. Let me bring this in so y'all can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I have my embossing plate. I have my embossing mat. Then I'm going to put my paper down. Then I'm going to very carefully take my die. I'm going to ink this up. And I'm inking that with the sweet sugar plum. Let's see how that looks. Okay. I'm just holding the die by the edges here as I'm inking. Alright, that should be good. I'm going to place this on my paper. Oh, can you see it? I don't know if you can see that or not. I'm going to place it on my paper about 1/2 inch down from the top and centered side to side. And once that goes down, you don't want to move it like I just did. Okay, there. Then I'm going to put my plate on. And I'm going to run this through my big shot. Okay. I'm going to carefully take this all off of my plate. And there's my die. It's not as pretty as I hoped for. So you see, I missed a spot there. I'm going to try to fix that. Let's see if it's possible. So I'll set everything up again here. I'm going to ink up that edge that didn't get ink on it for some reason. But you know what I always say, if it's going to go wrong, it will go wrong in a video. So there we go. I carefully place that back down. And I'm going to run that through again. And yeah, the ink's going to be splotchy. As it dries, it'll even out a little bit. But I think this is such an interesting technique that I wanted to try it. And I thought maybe y'all would like to try it sometime. Okay, so there's my die. That will have to be cleaned. Just might clean your die with some, just something mild soap and water. or even just wipe it off with some water. And now I have this, and it's embossed and it's inked. You see how much lighter this is? See, this will lighten up also. I don't know if it'll lighten as much as this one, but it will lighten also. So now we're going to cut out the edges here. And I need that to end up to be, to fit inside my card here. So I need that to be, it's going to be an odd size. Okay, 2 and 15/16 of an inch. So I'll bring my Stampin Trimmer in here. And I know kind of how much I'm going to need to trim off, or where it's going to hit on my card, because I've done this already. And I know it's going to hit right about here, and it's going to hit right about here. So I'm going to put this in my trimmer right at those spots. And I'm going to use that. I'm going to slide that down, and you have to kind of guess where it's ending. And take that and trim it up. And then I'm going to take my little fussy cutting scissors. I'm going to trim this extra off. And I'm going to fussy cut out around the edge here. Okay, you see? So now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Now I know I want it to be 2 and 15/16 of an inch. So I'm setting it using my top ruler here. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. It's got the little arrow here, so you can kind of estimate where you need to cut to. Alright, now we'll do the same thing on this side. And that's ready to go on the card front now. I'll put my trimmer away so I can bring in my card base. Always check to make sure you have it opening the right way. There's my card base, and this will go on here like this. This will go right on top, and we're going to put a piece of ribbon across the bottom here. So I need a little bit of ribbon here, just enough to wrap around this white. I'm going to put some Snail on the back, right about where I want it to be. I'll go back to the front, and right across here, just wrap that ribbon around, make sure it's straight, and just wrap it around that side. Okay, now I'm going to take my Snail again. I'm going to try to avoid that area that I embossed, because I don't want to flatten it out with putting the Snail on. Oh, stay there. And then we'll center this right here on top of this beautiful decorative rectangle. Okay, there we go. We got that. And I'm going to stamp my I love you on here before I get any further and forget about it. So I already have that on a block. I try to line my stamps up on my block so I know where they are, where they're going to stamp, especially if they're a rubber stamp like this. And that looks good. And now we just need to make the bow. And I'll need a piece about 10 inches long for this. I'll just cut that off. And with my fingers, I'm going to take my ribbon like this and leave myself a little tail here. I'm going to wrap this around my fingers. I'm going to come up the middle here, like so. And then this will come up from the back to the front. And we just tie these two ends then in a knot. You want to make sure that knot's pretty good and tight. Now, before I tighten it down too much, so I'm going to adjust my bow loops a little bit. And there we go. Get that off my finger. And this is ready to go on the front. And I'm just going to put a bit of Snail here. I feel that a dry adhesive like Snail or glue dots works much better than trying to glue it with any type of glue. Okay, so we have that attached. And I'll just cut these at a little angle here. Make them nice. And time for the dimensionals. If you have some foam tape or anything like that, that might even work better than sticking a whole bunch of these dimensionals on here. But I'm using dimensionals. So we put a bunch of them on here, just like so. Just to get that popped up a little bit, make it a little bit more interesting. And we're almost done with the card. Do you realize that? This gotta be a lot of fun for you to watch, right? See me peeling all these little dimensionals off. But that's alright. We'll have a beautiful card when we're done. One more, I think. No, I missed this one. Yep, I think I got them all now. Almost dropped this on the floor. That would have been terrible. Who knows what it would have picked up from my craft room floor. We're just lining this up. Give it a little pat where those dimensionals are. And we're finished. So if you've liked this video, then be sure to hit that like button down below. I do watch for that, you know. And if you'd like to see more of my videos, there's a subscribe button down there too. Hit that. If there are any Stampin' Up products that you'd like to purchase that I've used today, or, well, any that I've used anytime, or even things I haven't used. If you'd like to purchase any of those, I'd be thrilled if you use me as your demonstrator. And you can do that either through my Facebook page or my website. And as always, I'll have all of the materials that I use listed down below. So, y'all, take care, stay safe, and happy stamping.